So today is the appearance, Verscheinungs or Verscheinungstag of Srila Madhavendra Puri. Verscheinungstag, that means the disappearance. Okay? So Srila Madhavendra Puri is a very important preceptor in our disciplic succession. He is the Param Guru of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Param Guru means Guru of, Param Guru means my Guru's Guru is my Param Guru. And he's very important, and I could tell you why, but it's better, I think, if I just tell you what Prabhupada said. Because Madhavendra Puri is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 4. And there's a lot that can be said about Madhavendra Puri. He's a great devotee of the Lord. A great devotee of the Lord. So we'll see if you could just mention two purports. I'm going to read two what Prabhupada said. This is from the Madhya Lila, chapter 4. Sri Madhavendra Puri's devotional service. In his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the following summary of the 4th chapter, passing along the path of Chatra Bhoga and coming to Vriddha Mantra Ishvara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached the border of Orissa. On his way, he enjoyed transcendental bliss by chanting and begging alms in different villages. In this way,
what did he do?
Begged alms means he's begging alms, like some kind of food, or any kind of contribution, something for eating, sustaining. In this way, he reached the celebrated village of Remuna, where there is a deity of Gopinath. There, he narrated the story of Madhavendra Puri, as he heard it from his spiritual master, Ishvara Puri. The narration is as follows. One night, while in Govardhan, Madhavendra Puri dreamed that the Gopala deity was within the forest. The next morning, he invited his neighborhood friends to accompany him to excavate the deity from the jungle. He then established the deity of Sri Gopalaji on top of Govardhan Hill with great pomp. Gopal was worshipped, and the Anukata festival was observed. This festival was known everywhere, and many people from the neighboring villages came to join. One night, the Gopala deity again appeared to Madhavendra Puri in a dream and asked him to go to Jagannath Puri to collect some sandalwood pulp and smear it on the body of the deity. Having received this order, Madhavendra Puri immediately started for Orissa. Traveling through Bengal, he reached Remuna village and there received a pot of condensed milk, kshira, offered to the deity of Gopinathji. This pot of condensed milk was stolen by Gopinath and delivered to Madhavendra Puri. Since then, the Gopinath deity has been known as Kshira Chora Gopinatha, the deity who stole the pot of condensed milk. After reaching Jagannath Puri, Madhavendra Puri received permission from the king to take out 1 mana of sandalwood and 8 ounces of camphor. Aided by 2 men, he brought these things to Remuna. Again, he saw in a dream that Gopal at Govardhan Hill desired that very sandalwood to be turned into pulp, mixed with camphor, and smeared over the body of Gopinathji. Understanding that would satisfy the Gopal deity of Govardhan, Madhavendra Puri executed the order and returned to Jagannath Puri. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu narrated this story for Lord Nityananda Prabhu and other devotees and praised the pure devotional service of Madhavendra Puri. When he recited some verses composed by Madhavendra Puri, he went into an ecstatic mood. But when he saw that many people were assembled, he checked himself and ate some sweet rice prasad. Thus, he passed that night, and the next morning he again started for Jagannath Puri. Questions? So I tell you some things that were not mentioned in here. I'll tell you a few. Madhavendra Puri went to Vrindavan, right? And at this time, Vrindavan, of course, if you don't know, Vrindavan is the place of Lord Krishna's pastimes. Now it's a city in Delhi. You can visit the Holy Land, very holy land. So Madhavendra Puri went to Vrindavan and he stumbled upon Govardhan Hill. It's a very holy place in Vrindavan. And he went into ecstasy. And then he started chanting Hare Krishna underneath a tree. And he would not eat anything unless somebody gave it to him. He wouldn't beg. And then some boy came along and said, "Here, I brought you some milk, because I see that you're hungry." And he said, "Thank you." And the boy said, "Yeah, later I'll come back and pick up the pot." And he said, "Okay." So Madhavendra Puri, he drank the milk, he cleaned the pot, and nobody came back. And then you could understand that person was Krishna. Krishna brought him some milk. So Krishna takes care of his devotees, especially those devotees who are always thinking of him. Always. Always. Means all the time. You're always thinking of him. Then he will take care of you, personally. But if you're doing the best you can, he'll also take care of you. Right? So, then, that's just one part of the story, right? And then, in that dream, Madhavendra Puri saw this boy, and he could understand it was Krishna, and he said, I'm buried up there on the hill, underneath a bush, and I'm really hot. I want you to bring me out and put me in a temple, and to bathe me with water, and have a nice feast. So then he did that. And then sometime later, Krishna also came to me and said, I'm still really hot. I want you to go to Jagannath Puri and get some, what do you call this? Gunda, right? Sandalwood. And make pulp out of it and smear it all over my body. To cool me down. So on his way, he was in Remuna. And he saw the Gopinath deity. Right? And so deity, Krishna has a lot of different names. Nam Namakari Bahuda Nijasarva Shakti. He has Nam Namakari, so many names, Bahuda, so many. Gopinath is another name for Krishna. Gopal is another name for Krishna. So he went to Remuna, he saw Gopinath, and he was just, ecstatic. And he said to the priest, he said, how do you take care of Gopinath? Because he wanted to establish a nice system of worship for his devotee in Gopal in Vrindavan. So he asked, how do you take care of Gopinath? And he said, we very nicely, but we also give him this very nice sweet rice in the evening. And Madhavendra Puri thought, if I could just taste that sweet rice, and I could make it for Gopal. But then he felt guilty. He felt so guilty that he went away, and he felt guilty because he was going to want to enjoy the Lord's prasad, or the Lord's bhoga. He felt bad. But Gopinath knew, the Gopinath deity, he knew the desire of Madhavendra Puri. So the priest, he made this offering, 12 pots of sweet rice, and Gopinath, he took one pot and he stole it, and he hid it behind the curtain. And the priest didn't know, because Gopinath, he's a master of mystics. It's another one of his names, master of mystics. So the priest couldn't understand what was going on. He went to bed. And Madhavendra Puri was feeling guilty, wanting to enjoy. So he was in the market, it was all nighttime. He was chanting. And the priest woke up, priest saw Krishna. Gopinath came to the priest in a dream. He said, my Bhakta, Madhavendra Puri, is out chanting somewhere, and I have stolen a pot of sweet rice for him, and I want you to go give it to him. So the priest got up, he took a bath, he found the sweet rice where it was hidden, and he went into the market, calling for Madhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri heard it, he got up, he said, oh, Gopinath ji has saved this pot of sweet rice for you. And he paid off his obeisances and everything. He was, because obviously Madhavendra Puri is a great devotee. The Gopinath personally took that pot of sweet rice and stole it for him. And he woke the pujari up, said, get up and go take care of my bhakta. So, so then, after eating the sweet rice, honoring the prasadam, he took the pot, he broke it, and he sewed up all the pieces into his, he kept them all in his cloth. And every day he would eat a little piece. And what else happened is that he left. Because Madhavendra Puri did not think himself to be a great devotee. Right? Because the devotee doesn't think himself to be very great. And he knew that if people found out, and they would, that Gopinath ji had saved a pot of sweet rice for him, everybody would think he was a great devotee, and they would give him so much honor. So he wanted to leave. He left. And he went to Jagannath Puri. And that's all for today. But there's something else I want to read. This is very important. Yes, ma'am.
You know how he left his body?
Yes, yes. But I want to read that, if you don't mind, if it's okay. Okay. There's some very nice, important. See, Madhavendra Puri is very important. And I'm going to read the verse and purport to exemplify just that. And if maybe I read. This is a verse that was spoken by Srimati Radharani when Lord Krishna left Vrindavan. Okay. Ai dina dayadra nata he mathura nata kadava lokyase hridayam dvadaloka kataram daita brahmyati king karomyaham. O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? The uncontaminated devotees, this is purport by Prabhupada. The uncontaminated devotees who strictly depend on the Vedanta philosophy are divided into 4 sampradayas, or transcendental parties. Out of the 4 sampradayas, Sri Madhvacharya Sampradaya was accepted by Madhavendra Puri. Thus he took sannyas according to parampara, the disciplic succession, beginning from Madhvacharya down to the spiritual master Madhavendra Puri, the acharya named Lakshmipati, There was no realization of devotional service in conjugal love. Sri Madhavendra Puri introduced the concept of conjugal love for the first time in the Madhvacharya Sampradaya. In this conclusion of the Madhvacharya Sampradaya was revealed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he toured South India and met the Tattvavadis, who supposedly belong to the Madhvacharya Sampradaya. When Sri Krishna left Vrindavan and accepted the kingdom of Mathura, Srimati Radharani, out of ecstatic feelings of separation, expressed how Krishna can be loved in separation. Thus, devotional service in separation is central to this verse. Worship in separation is considered by the Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya to be the topmost level of devotional service. According to this conception, the devotee thinks of himself as very poor and neglected by the Lord. Thus, he addresses the Lord as Dina Dayadridha Nata, as did Madhavendra Puri. Such an ecstatic feeling is the highest form of devotional service. Because Krishna had gone to Mathura, Srimati Radharani was very much affected, and she expressed herself thus: "My dear Lord, because of your separation, my mind has become overly agitated. Now tell me, what can I do? I am very poor, and you are very merciful. So kindly have compassion upon me, and let me know when I shall see you." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always expressing the ecstatic emotions of Srimati Radharani that she exhibited when she saw Uddhava at Vrindavan. Similar feelings experienced by Madhavendra Puri are expressed in this verse. Therefore, Vaishnavas in the Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya say that the ecstatic feelings experienced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his appearance came from Sri Madhavendra Puri through Ishvara Puri. All the devotees in the line of the Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya accept these principles of devotional service. That's actually very important. And it may not appear important now, but it will actually be very important if you continue this process of devotional service. This is, so I won't talk about it that much more because I just did a lot. But I want to say something that's also very important. Madhvacharya is in this school, it's called Dvaita, which means dualism. Right? What does that mean? That means that there is Krishna and there is a jiva, the living entity, and they are not the same. They are having the same qualities. They are both eternal, full of knowledge and happiness. But Krishna is big, infinitely, and the jiva is small, infinitely. But this is very important for a very important reason. We are not God. We will never become God. We are the servant of God. And we are always have been, and we always will be. And why that is important. Every relationship has a rasa, a flavor that goes with it. If there is no relationship, there is no flavor. There is no rasa. Relationship means not one person, but at least two. Therefore, to taste the flavor of love for God, you have to have a relationship with Him, based on service. Try to understand that. He is the served, and we are the ones doing the service, the servants. This is our philosophy. It's very important to understand. We serve Him. And by serving Him, we taste that pleasure which we are all wanting. We taste it by serving Him. Slowly, we let go of all of our material attachments. Attached to honor, attached to dishonor, attached to plans. This plan, that plan, ambitions. Letting it all go. And slowly absorb yourself in that service. He will take everything out of your heart that doesn't belong there. And you will taste that, experience that love you've experienced when you have a relationship with Him. But you cannot do it if you think that you will become Him. Because then you no longer have an identity. You cannot have a loving feeling unless you have an exchange. Therefore, we are Dvaita Vadis, not Advaita. Dvaita. Dualism. Two separate entities. That's very important. All right, are there any other questions? And I'll go with Bhagavatam after this. This is all, everything is there. This is very important. This is very important. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Now we go for Bhagavatam, which is also very important. Today we are reading from the Bhaktivedanta purports on the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, the creative impetus, chapter 5, the Lord Rishabhadev's teachings, verse number 6. Evam mana karma vasam prayunte avidyayat manyupadiyamane pritirna yavan mai vasudeve namuchyate deha yogena tavat Evam mana karma vasam prayunte avidyayat manya upadiyamane pritirna yavan mai vasudeve namuchyate deha yogena tavat Evam mana karma vasam prayunte avidyayat mani upadiyamane pritirna yavan mai vasudeve namuchyate deha yogena tavat. Devotees,
Evam mana karma vasam prayunte
Evam mana karma vasam prayunte
avidyat matmani upadiyamana
avidyayat mani upadiyamane
pritirna yavan mai vasudeve
pritirna yavan mai vasudeve
namuchyate daha yogena tavat
namuchyate deha yogena tavat. Okay, I won't have any other people chanting because we're low on time. Mataji's?
Evam mana karma vasam prayunte
Evam mana karma vasam prayunte
avidyayat mani upadiyamane
avidyaya anyupadiyamane
Nityanayavannai vasudeve
pritirna yavanmai vasudeve
Namuchate deha yogena tava
namuchate deha yogena tavat. Evam, thus, manaha, the mind, karma vasham, subjugated by fruitive activities, prayunkte, acts, avidyaya, by ignorance, atmani, when the living entity, upadhiyamane, is covered, pritihi, love, not, yavat, as long as, mayi, unto me, Vasudeva, Krishna, not, muchate, is delivered, deha yogena, from contact with the material body, tavat, so long. Translation and purport. When the living entity is covered by the mode of ignorance, he or she does not understand the individual living being and the supreme living being, and his mind or her mind is subjugated to fruitive activity. Therefore, until one has love for Lord Vasudeva, who is none other than myself, he or she is certainly not delivered from having to accept a material body again and again. Purport. When the mind is polluted by fruitive activity, the living entity wants to be elevated from one material position to another. Generally, everyone is involved in working hard, day and night, to improve his or her economic condition. Even when one understands the Vedic rituals, he or she becomes interested in promotion to heavenly planets, not knowing that one's real interest lies in returning home, back to Godhead. By acting on that platform of fruitive activity, one wanders throughout the universe in different species and forms. Unless he or she comes in contact with a pure devotee of the Lord, a guru, he or she does not become attached to the service of Lord Vasudeva. Knowledge of Vasudeva requires many births to understand, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, verse 19. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabhaha. After struggling for existence for many births, one may take shelter at the lotus feet of Vasudeva, Krishna. When this happens, one actually becomes wise and understands him. That is the only way to stop the repetition of birth and death. This is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 19, verse 151. In the instructions given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Srila Rupa Goswami at Dasas Vameda Ghata, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bija. The living entity wanders throughout different planets in different forms and bodies. But if by chance he or she comes in contact with a bona fide spiritual master, by the grace of the spiritual master, he or she receives Lord Krishna's shelter and his or her devotional life begins. Om Angyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master has opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Parantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami, who was established within this world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter at his lotus feet? Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langaya te girim. Yat kripa tamaham vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam. Mukam karoti vachalam. So, by the mercy of the spiritual master, a person who is dumb can be made to speak very eloquently. Mukam karoti vachalam. Pangam langaya te girim. A person who is lame can be made to cross over mountains. And also I've heard it said that a person who is blind can be made to see the stars in the sky by the mercy of the spiritual master. When the living entity is covered by the mode of ignorance, he or she does not understand the individual living being and the supreme living being, and his or her mind is subjugated to fruitive activity. Therefore, until one has love for Lord Vasudeva, who is none other than myself, he or she is certainly not delivered from having to accept a material body again and again. All right. A few nice things that are mentioned here in this verse here. The mind polluted by fruitive activity. What does that mean? Fruitive activity. It sounds really fruity, like we're going to go pick apples or something. But it's something we should understand, actually. Because ultimately we are, most of the time, engaged in fruitive activity. We are most of the time engaged in fruitive activity, and the mind is also active. Right? The mind is engaging in activity. So what does that mean, fruitive activity? It means you perform an activity and you want to enjoy the result. And there are so many results from an activity. If you pick apples, right? Let's say you pick the biggest basket of apples, right? So there's different results. There's a result of the basket of apples, and you get paid for that, maybe. Or you get to eat the apples. And there is a result. Look how big my basket of apples is. Right? That's also a result that we cultivate. We want to be noticed for having done something, an accomplishment. And we entertain it in the mind. What will they think when I say this and when I do that? What will be the result? How will I be recognized? It's fruitive activity.
In 5 Minuten ist Fastenbrechen.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. We have to hurry. Otherwise we'll all be guilty of not breaking your Harishi properly. We'll go to hell. Yes, sir.
Is it possible to share your results to inspire others?
Share your results to inspire others. Oh. And then there is extended sense gratification. Just kidding. I'm sorry. No, that's good. Of course. You want to share your results to inspire others. but you should not be attached to the result. You have to be attached to the endeavor. That's all you can be attached to, is the endeavor. Because the result is independent from endeavor. I have my own personal life, I can tell you, I've been endeavoring for a long time, I get no result. Krishna has decided no, I'm sorry. I guess we don't have time, but the thing is, I want to point out to you here something interesting. It's very subtle, this enjoyment, right? To share your results, first of all, I mean, that's fine, right? But ultimately, we are not the proprietor, so they are not ours to share. Right? Those results do not belong to us. They are not ours to share. Is that understood?
Not so much. I mean,
the result belongs to somebody else. Somebody else has that result.
Yeah, but we can say Krishna made me able to do it.
Yeah, you can say that. But it was Krishna who did it. I was the actor. I was a workzoid. Werkzeug. Einfach. Werkzeug. I was only a tool. I was only a tool. That's a proper understanding, that I'm only the tool. And you can also be inspired, and you can also be a tool, but that's all you will ever be, is just a tool. You'll be a tool for Krishna. Or you can be a tool for your mind. Yes, sir.
So I heard this, like, for example, when you go on book distribution, you should pray that please Krishna use me as a tool and make me in this way successful for you.
Actually, you should always pray like that.
Yeah, but it's not only for book distribution, but for any activity.
Any activity. Every activity. In fact, even if you're doing nothing, you should pray for doing something. If you're doing nothing, you should pray that you can be a tool for doing something. All the time. That's our philosophy. And so we should chant Hare Krishna 24 hours a day. Even when you're sleeping. No more sleep for you guys. I'm tired of it, A little lazy there. Yeah, all the time. That's the philosophy. I'm not inventing anything. This is our philosophy. Never think I want to distribute 100 books. That's fine. Okay, whatever. You have to start somewhere, right? But the goal should be, let me just serve you and please you with my service. And this is not my invention. Nadanamna janamna sundarim kavitam vajagad isakamaye. Manma janmani jaman ishvare. Birth after birth. Bhavatad bhaktir ahaitu kitvayi. Unalloyed devotional service to you. So I'm feeling the anxiety of missing Ekadashi improperly. We have a special day, but I will let it explain later. We'll end the lecture. Is there any other questions? Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam. Gaurantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Yes, ma'am.
I think that nowadays it is still very important to distribute books like in the days of Srila Prabhupada, actually he wanted to establish some temples and to distribute this knowledge. Do you think it's still first importance? Or is it maybe more something else?
The thing is, what else would it be? If there was something more important, what else would it be, in your opinion?
To churn the milk.
Yeah, right? That's also important. So there are two things that are very important. And this is not my invention, it's in scripture. Right? One thing is Harinam Sankirtan. That's the Yuga Dharma. That's really important. And the other thing is book distribution. They support each other. Right? By distributing books, we introduce people to our philosophy. We try to induce them. Let me just turn this microphone off real quick.
I did. I
Okay,
read
cool.
it.
No, this video
Ah,
camera
yes.
thing? Bing.